How does the MBTI account for neurodiversity? If John, you might want to start with that one.
I'll give an initial answer to it, but I'm sure others have a different, maybe better answer than mine. I think the short answer is no, it doesn't. And why would it? But let's expand on that a bit. So it's a really interesting question because it assumes neurodiversity is one thing, and it isn't. Neurodiversity simply means different in some way to the general mass of where people are. So are you talking about ADHD? Or are you talking about autism? Or are you talking about other attentional disorders? Or are you talking about dyslexia even, as sometimes seen as, or dyscalculia? All these things are different ways in which people are different in some way from the general mass of people. And whether you see that as somewhere on a spectrum or as a condition depends on how you actually like to look at neurodiversity. So the MBTI clearly isn't a diagnostic tool, doesn't attempt to diagnose that if you have this type, you're more likely to have this condition or anything like that. And we do sometimes get questions from clients which imply that they could use it as a diagnostic tool, and it absolutely is not for that purpose. And indeed, none of the questionnaires that HR or learning development practitioners would normally use are made for that purpose. It's likely to be the case if you look at, for example, some of these standard checklists that people use for ADHD. I looked at one of these about a month ago, and I thought, I could probably tick quite a lot of the things in these boxes as well. So clearly some of the behaviors that are seen as part of a particular neurodiverse condition will link to certain aspects of type. But it's not that everybody with a certain type has this condition, or that everyone with this condition has this particular type. Whatever your condition, people with ADHD are different from each other. They're not one sort of same mass of people. So they will have type differences. They will have different personalities to each other. You have type here, you have a neurodiverse condition here. There may be an overlap, there may be a Venn diagram, but they are two different things. So it doesn't account for neurodiversity. I would say you could use the MBTI with people with neurodiversity. It may affect the way they answer the questionnaire, but I think one of the big advantages the MBTI has in this context, and people have sort of touched this already, is that whole best fit process. You're not giving someone their results and saying, off you go. You're talking through how it works for them. And I think that personalization can really help people, whatever their background, whatever condition they see themselves as having or having been diagnosed as having. I think that really helps them to understand a little bit more about who they are. That was my view. I think, Quay, you've actually done a little bit more hard-nosed stuff on this.
Yeah, I had this question myself, particularly looking at ADHD, and so for me, I still don't say that I know. What we did see in that research was that there was a set of, and we were not looking at type specifically. We only asked people to self-report their type, and so you can sort of take that or leave that. But what we were really looking at in terms of what we were asking people was the type dynamics, so the underlying functions. And we did see some correlation with ADHD in particular with a certain arrangement of functions. It wasn't necessarily that a particular function was correlated with ADHD. In fact, there's two different types of ADHD, and those different types had different sort of function arrangement, sort of type dynamics underlying. And so we did see a way that you could think about it in terms of what functions are being expressed and what functions seem to be a little bit diminished, and that if you think about it, could look like ADHD. But I also wouldn't say that you should use the Myers-Briggs as a diagnostic test. At the most, and I don't even think I have the research for this yet, at the most, I would say that looking at someone's type, particularly their dynamics, it might point you in a direction, if you're working with them in a clinical sense, to just be on the lookout for that maybe it's a little bit more likely with this type, but it's not in and of itself diagnostic at all.